Hello, and today we're looking at St. Petroc in our 40 days with the Celtic Saints. So with St. Piran and St. Michael, St. Petroc is one of the patron saints of Cornwall. However, Petroc was probably born in South Wales. Petroc was a British prince, possibly the son of the Welsh king Glywys of Glywysing. I may not have said that right. I'm not one of the ones who can speak Welsh, so we'll have to check with someone about that. But hopefully I haven't mispronounced it. Apologies if I have. But he ministered primarily to the Britons of Devon and Cornwall. He's associated mostly with a monastery at Padstow, which is named after him, Petroc Stow or Petroc's place. He founded this monastery along with a school on his return from a pilgrimage to Rome. Petroc had studied in Ireland, where he is said later to have been the teacher of Kevin of Glendalough, Saint Kevin, who Matt told us about yesterday. All accounts indicate that Petroc retired from Padstow to Bodmin, the vast moor in Cornwall, and there founded a second monastery and a great church. Petroc also founded churches in Little Petroc and Bodmin and in many parts of Britain, Wales and Brittany. He's also said to have converted King Constantine of Cornwall to Christianity, not Constantine the Great, Emperor of Rome, although incidentally he was the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, just 250 years earlier. The story is that Petroc saved a deer that Constantine was hunting, and Constantine was so touched by the divine spirit evident within this man that he decided to commit his life and kingdom to God. There were many stories of Petroc performing miracles and healings and banishings of monsters and dragons. One story that David Cole recounts in his book, 40 Days with the Celtic Saints, that we're following at the moment, is of a monstrous serpent in Cornwall. A little bit like the monster that Matt was telling us about yesterday. Legend tells that a king who had recently died threw liars and thieves into a snake-filled pit as punishment to be eaten alive. This form of execution ended with the king's death, but the serpents were still in the pit, and now they were getting increasingly hungry because they didn't have any criminals to eat. So they began to eat each other. And as they devoured each other, they were getting bigger and bigger until there was only one of them left, and he was absolutely enormous. So this serpent then escaped the pit and sought out other food and began to eat the locals, people and livestock. Petroc, upon seeing this, saw that his years of study, penance and quiet contemplation put him in the right position for this task. He knew that he might stand with God and face this mighty serpent, which was terrorising the land. So Petroc set out for the beast's lair. He was accompanied by Samson and Weathernock, two other holy men of the time, who would both become saints. Samson himself became the patron saint of Brittany, but we'll learn more about him next week. They came to where the serpent lived, the bones of the serpent's victims strewn all about, and stood at the entrance. The holiness emanating from these men was all that was needed to bring the serpent out. Petroc bound it with his clothing, and the three saints commanded the monster to leave Cornwall shores, and it was never seen in Cornwall again. That's just a legend, obviously, but it's a good story. After 30 years, Petroc went on a pilgrimage to Rome again, this time by way of Brittany, and the place of his death was reputedly at a house belonging to a family named Ravel. The house is thought to be a farm now called Truravel, near Little Petroc, Little Petroc. So the question to ask ourselves today is in what way does God work through us? What do we do in order to create opportunities for God to work through us to influence others? Petroc cultivated a deep spirituality through times of solitude and prayer, but also allowed God to work through him as demonstrated by his performing signs and miracles. He had a great influence on others, as in the case of Constantine, but was very humble and learned from others and worked with others. There's a lot that we can learn from him. So I'll close today with the final blessing as a prayer. May we be willing to allow God to work within us. May we be an example to others of God's love for the world. May we all stand strong for God, and may God work through us to change others' hearts. Amen. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.